Is Naples still a seller's market in real estate? That's the question that I am going to answer in this week's Naples, Florida real estate market update. Because if you only look at price reductions, expired listings, or interest rates, you might think sellers have lost their advantage. But if you look deeper into the data, especially the cash closings, as we're going to go over this week, the story is a little more complicated. So this week in Naples, we had 196 new listings, but 201 homes sold and 191 homes went pending. So buyer activity is still very, very real. And when you add in the cash buyer activity, including major multi-million dollar closings, it shows us why Naples continues to behave differently than many other real estate markets. This is not a simple market. It's not a blanket seller's market, but in the right neighborhoods and at the right price, with the right buyer pool, cash buyers are still helping fuel the Naples seller advantage. I'm Chris Alley, a Naples, Florida realtor since the year 2000 and a certified luxury home specialist. I help buyers and sellers in boating, beach, golfing, and gated communities make better real estate decisions by looking closely at the data before making a move. And this week, we are going to look at the overall market, the cash buyer influence, and what's sold near the median sales price and the most expensive sale in Naples this week. And the key question is this: is this really a seller's market in real estate, or is it only a seller's market for the homes that are priced and positioned correctly? That's a good question. Here's what you will learn this video. First, while Naples still has strong buyer activity, even with the price reductions. Second, why cash buyers continue to matter so much in the Naples market. Third, why sold and pending activity being above new listings is very important. Fourth, what you can buy around the $599,900 median sales price. Fifth, what the $24.4 million Old Naples sale tells us about luxury demand. And finally, stick around and you will find out what this means if you are thinking about buying, selling, or simply trying to understand what is going on in this Naples market. Is it a seller's market or is it a buyer's market? So let's start with the weekly Naples market numbers. The median sales price is still $599,900, and in the past 7 days, there were 196 new listings, 201 sold listings, 191 pending home sales, 200 price decreases, 15 price increases, 56 terminated listings, 75 expired listings, 43 withdrawn listings, 37 homes back on the market, and 81 extended listings. There were also 96 homes that sold at or below the median sales price. The first major takeaway is that both sold listings and pending sales were very strong compared to the new listings. We had 201 sold listings and 191 pending sales compared to 196 new listings. So that means between sold and pending activity, there were far more market movement than the number of new homes coming onto the market. So that means it's not a dead market. But we also had 237 price decreases. So this is not a market where every seller can simply just name their price. And that is why the phrase seller's market in real estate needs context. In Naples, sellers may still have an advantage in certain situations, especially when cash buyers are active, but buyers are still selective. This is one of the most important visuals this week, so take a look at this. There are 196 new listings, as I'd mentioned before, but there were 201 sold listings and 191 pending sales. This is very important to watch. Sold and pending activity together equals 392 homes, and that tells us that serious buyers are still making decisions. They are not buying everything, and They are not rewarding every single listings, but they're still active. So if someone asks, is this a seller's market in real estate? The answer is, in Naples, it really depends. The demand is still there, but sellers only benefit when the property is priced correctly, it's prepared properly, and positioned against the right buyer pool. Now let's talk about the cash buyer part of the market. The all cash closing report for Naples showed 109 cash closings in the cash sales price, and that report was approximately $840,000. And the highest cash sale was $24.4 million. And that matters because cash buyers do not feel the market the same way that financed buyers do. They are not affected by mortgage rates in the same direct way. They can often move faster. They can remove financing uncertainty. And in luxury neighborhoods, that liquidity can help support higher end demand, even when the broader market is dealing with rate pressure. But this is very, very important. Cash does not mean buyers are careless. Cash buyers still negotiate. Cash buyers still look at days on market. Cash buyers still look at the condition, the price, the history, insurance, fees, taxes, and all the alternatives. So cash is powerful, but it does not excuse overpricing. A perfect example was something that just happened recently this week when an offer was made on a multi-million-dollar home, but the agent and or owner wanted so much more for a future value, and then the buyer just wound up moving to another property paying even more because they want what they want. When they are buying luxury property with a cash advantage, they don't want to play around with a seller that is not willing to recognize what's happening in the market. And this is why I would not describe Naples as a simple, across-the-board seller's market. There are two things happening at the same time. Sellers still have real advantages. We have cash buyers. We have strong sold activities. We have strong pending activity. And we have major luxury closings. But on the other side, buyers still have leverage in many situations. With the 237 price decreases this week, there were 75 expired listings, there were 56 terminated listings, and there were 43 withdrawn listings. So the better way to describe this market is, it is a selective market with pockets of seller strength. The advantage belongs to the seller who price correctly, prepared correctly, and understand their buyer pool. The luxury cash closing data is what makes this week especially interesting. There were several major cash closings in Naples, and the top cash sale was in Old Naples, selling for $24.4 million. There were also major cash closings in Port Royal. It's a Gray Oaks cash closing at $11.5 million and a Talus Park cash closing at $10 million. That type of liquidity matters. It shows that high-end buyers are still willing to move significant capital into Naples real estate. And for many of these buyers, the decision is not only about interest rates. It's about lifestyle, asset allocation, tax environment, long-term ownership, and the ability to secure the right property when it becomes available. The modern Naples cash buyer often thinks differently than a traditional financed buyer, and this is why. They may be moving liquidity into Florida real estate as a hard asset. They may be coming from a higher tax state. They may be retirees, business owners, investors, or young wealth creators who want the lifestyle now rather than waiting for the perfect market condition. And for these buyers, the question is not always, can I get the lowest price possible? Sometimes the question is, can I secure the right property in the right location with the least amount of friction? That is one reason cash continues to influence the Naples market. But again, cash buyers are still smart. They are not ignoring value. They are using their liquidity as leverage. Now, let's take a look at what you can get around the median sales price in Naples. This first example is in Isles of Collier Preserve. This home was originally listed for $680,000 and it sold for $579,000. That's a significant price adjustment. It had been on the market for 262 days. The home has 3 bedrooms plus a den, 3 bathrooms. It was unfurnished and had 2,214 square feet. The annual HOA fees are $16,608 and the tax bill is $5,898. The next example is an Orange Blossom Ranch. This home was originally listed for $585,000 and it sold for $585,000, which was the full asking price. Congratulations to them. It had 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2,293 square feet. The annual HOA fees are $4,468 and the tax bill is $5,536. The third example is in the neighborhood called Brookside, and this is located off of Davis Boulevard, and it's a very up-and-coming neighborhood. The home was originally listed for $585,000 and it sold for the exact same price, with 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 1,448 square feet. There's no homeowners association in this neighborhood. This is why buyers have to look beyond just the sales price. All three of these homes are near the median price point, but the ownership picture is very different. One has more than $16,000 a year in homeowners association fees, and one has lower homeowners association fees, but still taxes to factor in. And one has no HOA, but has a tax bill of over $10,000. So whether we can call this a seller's market in real estate or a selective market, serious buyers are still comparing total cost. They are looking at HOA fees, taxes, insurance, condition, location, lifestyle, and market time. And sellers need to understand that buyers are doing the math. Now let's take a look at the most expensive home that sold in Naples this week. It was located in Old Naples. It was originally listed for $27,995,000 and it sold for $24,400,000. It had been on the market for 1,232 days. And the home had more than 6 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms. It wasn't sold furnished, but it did have 7,500 square feet under air. There's no homeowners association in the area Old Naples, but the tax bill is $125,400. This is a perfect example of the Naples market right now. Yes, a $24.4 million cash sale shows strength. Yes, it shows liquidity. Yes, it shows luxury buyers are still active. But it also sold below the asking price and after a very long time on the market. So even at the top of the market, buyers are still negotiating when the data supports it. For buyers, the takeaway is not to assume every listing is overpriced and not to assume that every seller is desperate. The better strategy is to study the property. How long has it been on the market? Has it had price reductions? How does it compare to recent closed sales? And what are the HOA fees, the taxes, the insurance, and the consideration in condition issues? And is the property in a segment where cash buyers are creating more competition? If you are financing, that matters because in certain price points and communities, you may be competing against buyers who can remove financing risk from the transaction. And that does mean that you cannot compete. It just means you need better preparation. For sellers, this week's data is encouraging, but it should not create overconfidence. The market is still active. Cash buyers are still present. Luxury buyers are still moving. And sold plus pending activity is strong. But with 237 price decreases, sellers still need discipline. A cash-heavy market can support strong valuations, but it does not guarantee that every home will sell at any price. The home that wins are the ones that are priced correctly, they're presented well, and positioned clearly against the competition. So if your home is overpriced, buyers may simply wait. If your home is positioned correctly, serious buyers act, and that is the difference. Here is the final takeaway. Is Naples still a seller's market in real estate? In some ways, yes. Cash buyers are still active. Luxury closings are still happening. And sold plus pending activity remains strong. But it's not a careless seller's market. It is a selective market. It rewards sellers who understand pricing, preparation, condition, and buyer psychology. And it rewards buyers who understand the data before they make a move. And that is why watching this weekly update numbers matters. They show you what is actually happening, not just what people are saying. If you want to stay on top of the Naples, Florida real estate market, subscribe to this channel for my weekly Naples market update. Each week, I break down the numbers, what they mean, and how they affect buyers and sellers in Naples. And if you are thinking about selling, you can also download my seller's guide using the link below. I'm Chris Alley, Naples, Florida Realtor since 2000. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next Naples, Florida market update. And stick around for this next video. I know you're going to love it. Bye for now.